I was blessed to be asked to pray, to consecrate this moment. And so, if we could take a moment of reflection and prayer. Gracious God, you are closer to us than our own breath. We ask at this time that you help us to know that this moment was created by love, a love for learning, a love for the future, a love by family and friends who supported the graduates to this place. And because love was the force that made this moment happen, it is divine. As scripture says, we cannot know the divine without love. So we thank you for this moment, and may this be a joyous occasion for all involved. In the name of one who binds us all together, amen.
Good afternoon. It is my great honor to welcome our graduates, your families and loved ones, faculty, administration, staff, and friends to the Department of African and African American Studies Diploma and Awards Ceremony on this 14th day of June, 2026. I am Matthew Morrison, a musicologist and associate professor here in DAAAS, and I am proud to have joined the department this year as its first fully appointed and tenured faculty member. As a descendant of a long line of preachers from the African American Episcopal Church, the first Black denomination established in the United States in the late 18th century, it behooves me to highlight that today is indeed an auspicious occasion. I draw on my North Carolinian AME lineage to highlight just how auspicious this occasion is today, as we celebrate the graduates and awardees of DAAS in the 250th year since the founding of this nation, 160 years since slavery was abolished, 62 years since the passing of the Civil Rights Act, and almost 60 years since the founding of the AAAS program, and just 2 years after the establishment of AAAS as a department. Your choice to take up African and African American studies as an intellectual pursuit speaks not only to your interest and care in the histories and lived experiences of people of Africa and its American diaspora, but your ability to deconstruct and reconnect for others how such considerations are tethered to any understanding of this nation, its people, and contemporary and political and cultural systems that continue to shape our realities. Such an understanding makes you uniquely equipped to pursue new improvisational techniques in your respective fields of focus to navigate the current political and cultural systems that seek to negate the very histories of slavery, indigenous genocide, and inhumane atrocities of this nation that we work to preserve, interrogate, and understand towards our own collective struggle for liberation toward today within these fields of African and African American studies. Even with the continued violence enacted by the rise of fascist political regimes, Angela Davis reminds us all that, quote, you have to act as it were radically possible to transform the world, and you have to do it all the time, end quote. The courage to both reimagine and remake the world is the driving force behind how we find ourselves here today. Celebrating your graduation from DAAS, and as Dr. Omari Satterwhite reminds us about the taking of the mic that led to the establishment of the AAAS program in 1968, he and other students across campus had already begun to radically reimagine what a higher education curriculum looked like in the fall of 1967, before Dr. King's murder, and their demands became even more insistent after his death. Dr. Satterwhite also reminds us that organizing for the pursuit of Black study at Stanford was not exclusionary, but included the considerations of various affinity and identity-based student groups on campus, helping to provide a scaffolding for other areas and fields of study that were previously outside of the college's course. As you prepare to graduate beyond the halls of Stanford, the founding of this very department is a reminder that all of our liberation is bound together. The pursuit of African and African American study takes place not in a vacuum, but within a constellation that allows for an integrated approach to analysis and care that might center Blackness as its subject, but always in relation to an existence within the inevitable political and cultural shifts that will take place while placing them within a particularly historical and critical understanding that illuminate alternative possibilities for a just world. In closing, as I think I'm being signaled by this microphone, I invite our graduates and the DAS community to adapt a Senegalese principle of terenga, or hospitality, within our intellectual and communal engagement as you seek to adapt a generous spirit while you search for innovative and effective ways to share your specialized knowledge and material understandings of Black life on its own terms and in relation to humanity at large, creating a basis from which all might feel safe and welcome to imagine a more just world. Congratulations and welcome to our celebration of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everybody here today. My name is Katie Dieter, and I'm the Director of Advanced Studies and Community Engaged Learning here in the Department of African and African American Studies. And it is my pleasure today to announce our departmental awards. So students, when I announce your name, you can come to the podium to collect your award. The first award presented today is the Oral Communication Programs Award for Excellence in an Honors Thesis Presentation. This award is selected based on a presentation that best exemplifies the highest standards modeled for succeeding generations of honors students in our program. This award carries a $350 honorarium, which will be sent with a certificate to the recipient in late June. And the winner of the Award for Excellence in Honors Thesis Presentation is Alana Okoko. Congratulations. The next award being presented is the James L. Gibbs Jr. Award for Superior Academic Performance. Professor Gibbs chaired the African and African American Studies Founding Committee in 1968. He was also Stanford's first tenured African American professor and served Stanford University's community for 30 years, retiring in January of 1997. The James L. Gibbs Jr. Award for Superior Academic Performance is given to a graduating senior in African and African American Studies who, through their exceptional academic performance, best exemplifies the scholarship and achievement of Professor James L. Gibbs Jr. The qualifications for this award include a 3.5 cumulative GPA minimum, must be completing or have completed an honors thesis, are active in at least one student organization, and also are a declared DAAAS major intending to graduate in spring. This award carries a $250 honorarium. And this year, the winner of the James L. Gibbs Award for Superior Academic Performance is Alana Okonkwo. Hey, congratulations again. Our next award is the Trustee Leadership Award, which was inspired by V. Joyce Simmons, trustee at Stanford University from 2003 to 2008, and in honor of the leadership of African American trustees at Stanford University. Unrestricted to any field of study in arts, humanities, and sciences, the award will be given to a graduating senior who has demonstrated potential for great leadership. The award defines leadership broadly to include the ability to constructively challenge the status quo, to creatively invent new approaches to progressive social change, and to collaborate with others to inform innovative solutions to racial inequity and injustice. This award carries a $250 honorarium. And this year, the recipient for this award is Kayla Withers. Congratulations. Okay, the next award is the Academic Achievement and Service Award, which is given to students who combine academic achievement and service to the African and African American Studies Department at Stanford University. Service is defined broadly and can include community work, intellectual support, creative material, or scholarly forms of service to the department in African and African American Studies. This award carries a $250 honorarium. And this year's recipient for the award goes to Billy Meneses. Congratulations. And the final undergraduate award presented today is the Kennel Jackson Research Award, which is given to an undergraduate student for their outstanding research in areas related to the African diaspora. This award is named after Professor Emeritus Kennel Jackson, who served as Branner Hall's resident fellow for a quarter century and as faculty director of the African and African American Studies program for close to a decade. Kennel Jackson's contributions to DAAAS were plentiful, and we are pleased to offer this award in his namesake. To receive this award, you must be a senior completing an honors thesis project. This award carries a $1,000 honorarium per recipient. And this year we have two recipients for the award, which are Billy Meneses and Alana Ankokwo. And Alana, yes. Congratulations. Okay, so the department in African and African American Studies maintains a close relationship with graduate students through teaching assistantship opportunities, mentorship, the Black Studies Collective, and the DAAAS Graduate Fellow Program. The department in African and African American Studies recognizes graduate students for their outstanding achievements and commitments to our department through the Outstanding Teaching Award and the Outstanding Mentorship Award. So the first graduate student award presented today is the Outstanding Teaching Award, which is given to graduate students at Stanford University who excel in teaching in an African and African American Studies course. This award carries a $500 honorarium per recipient. We have two recipients for this year's Outstanding Teaching Award. So I'm going to name them both, and they can both come down, and then I'm going to say a little bit more about them. So we have Josie Amu. Is she here? Oh, she's right there. And then we also have Inam Bewanyo. Okay, so I'm going to say a little bit about them. So Josie Amu is an engineer, designer, and advocate pursuing an MS in civil and environmental engineering on the atmosphere energy track. In undergrad, she completed her BA in African and African American Studies and a BS in environmental systems engineering. Josie is from Scottsbluff, Nebraska, and cares deeply about environmental justice, public health, and social justice. This winter, Josie had the pleasure of being the teaching assistant for AFRICAM 136, New Orleans as Method. Yeah. Alongside Professor Jessica Monette and the DAAAS team, Josie assisted with the course lessons, planning a learning expedition to New Orleans this past March, and helping to install an inaugural art exhibition of student-produced collages inspired by the trip. This was one of Josie's highlights of Stanford overall. She's been shaped deeply by DAAAS and is eternally grateful for her friends, family, and Stanford community for helping her succeed. So congratulations, Josie. Okay, and next we have Inam Bewanyo, who is a British Ghanaian multidisciplinary artist working predominantly in textiles, performance, and film. Using material language, she tells liberatory stories of Black women rooted in ancient handcraft technologies, as well as the ancestral and spiritual. Inam holds a BA in textile design from the University of Bradford, UK, and is now a 2026 MFA art practice graduate of Stanford University. She is represented by Tafida Gallery in London, UK, and has presented work internationally, including institutions such as Foundation H, Madagascar, Bemis Center, Omaha, Nebraska, Gagosian, London, UK, and the 58th Venice Biennial in Venice, Italy. Yes. Inam created an extraordinary learning environment through the course AFRICAM 124C, Quilt Making as Black Expression, which is a course that has resonated deeply with students both intellectually and creatively. Through histories of the Underground Railroad, the Civil Rights Movement, African textile traditions, and contemporary Black artists, Inam guided students with remarkable care, depth, and accessibility, helping them understand quilts as living archives, sites of protest and resistance, and vehicles for storytelling and liberation. What makes her teaching especially exceptional is the way she bridges theory and practice, inviting students to create quilts centered on personal narratives, while learning techniques such as embroidery, beading, applique, and digital fabric printing. Students consistently speak about how transformative this course has been, describing a classroom grounded in generosity, support, and true community, something they note is often rare at Stanford. Inam goes above and beyond to ensure that students have the resources, encouragement, and connections they need, fostering an environment where they feel deeply empowered to take creative risks, share personal stories, and engage deeply with one another's work. Through this innovative and deeply engaged pedagogy, Inam demonstrates that artistic practice itself is a form of knowledge production and has made an extraordinary contribution to the intellectual and creative life of the university. Thank you, and congratulations to both of you. Okay, and our final award presented this afternoon is the Outstanding Mentorship Award, which is given to a graduate student at Stanford University who provides exceptional mentorship to the students of the African and African American Studies Department. This award carries a $500 honorarium. The recipient for this year's Outstanding Mentorship Award goes to Aliyah Dunn Salahuddin. So Aliyah Dunn Salahuddin is a PhD candidate of history at Stanford University. Prior to entering graduate school, she worked as tenured faculty at City College of San Francisco, where she taught both African American and United States history and served as department chair of African American Studies. At City College of San Francisco, she won multiple teaching awards, and the Board of Trustees officially named June 21st, 2019, Aliyah Dunn Salahuddin Day. Her doctoral research is focused on Black freedom struggle in the San Francisco Bay Area, which she explores through the lens of environment, race, and infrastructure. Her interdisciplinary work utilizes dance, film, and the performing arts to render visibility to marginalized Black histories and address archival silences. She is a former ACLS Mellon Dissertation Innovation Fellow, a current Thomas D. II Graduate Fellow for Stanford's Bill Lane Center of the American West, and was recently awarded a summer graduate fellowship with the Haas Center's Partners in Climate Justice. Yes. Aliyah brings extraordinary care, generosity, and dedication to everything she does. And she has had a profound impact on students and the broader DAAAS community. Through her mentorship, she creates spaces where students feel seen, supported, challenged, and inspired. She has a remarkable ability to build community, encourage students to pursue their passions, and help students develop confidence in themselves and their ideas. Through initiatives such as her Art in the City series, Aliyah creates opportunities for students to engage in art, culture, and community beyond the classroom, while fostering meaningful relationships and mentorship. I also had the privilege of working closely with Aliyah during our BOSP Global Arts Seminar in Jamaica last summer, where she served as the resident assistant. Throughout that program, she was a tremendous source of support and guidance for students, and her impact extended far beyond the seminar itself. Aliyah truly embodies the spirit of this award through her commitment to uplifting others and fostering connection and belonging. We are grateful for the generosity, creativity, and mentorship that she brings to our community. Please join me in congratulating her on the recipient of this award. Okay, and now that concludes the awards portion of our ceremony. Thank you all so much, and I will pass the mic to Dr. Kimberly McNair.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Kimberly Thomas McNair, and I am here to introduce our keynote, Dr. Otto Quayson. Otto Quayson is the Gene G. and the Morris M. Professor of Interdisciplinary Studies, a professor of English, and the inaugural chair of the Department of African and African American Studies at Stanford University. He has been the chair of this new department since January 2024, and just before that, he was chair of the Department of English from September 2021 to December 2023. Prior to joining Stanford in 2019, he taught at the University of Cambridge, where he got his PhD, and the University of Toronto and at NYU. Professor Quayson has published 6 monographs and edited 10 collections, including Oxford Street Accra, City Life, and the Itineraries of Transnationalism through Duke University Press in 2014. And he was named the Guardian newspaper as one of the best city books for 2014, which was awarded the Urban History Association Best Book Prize in 2015. Professor Quayson was president of the African Studies Association from 2019 to 2020, and is an elected fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, the Royal Society of Canada, and of the British Academy. He was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 2023. Everyone, please join me in receiving Dr. Otto Quayson for our keynote.
Thank you, Kim, for this warm introduction, but also welcome to our august graduates and also visitors. I can see Timothy smiling broadly in his gorgeous NYU regalia. And welcome to everyone also to our new department. You may have already been told, but the patterns on the side walls and also on the ceiling are supposed to imitate basket weaving, African or traditions of basket weaving, which are of course commonplace in West and East Africa and also among the Gula in the Carolinas. And the basket weaving tradition typically involves collections of women who gather to weave baskets for the community. So consider this, you are sitting within a basket of communal excellence and love. Now let me get to it right away. In July 2018, Trevor Noah, the South African comedian and then host of The Daily Show, got into a messy feud with Gerard Araud, France's ambassador to the United States. Observing that nearly 80% of the triumphant France soccer team's outfield players at the 2018 World Cup were of African descent, he quipped that, quote, Africa won the World Cup. I get it. They have to say it's the French team, said Noah. But look at those guys. You don't get that tan by hanging out in the south of France, my friends. The ambassador responded with an affronted letter, pointing out that by calling their players African, Noah was denying their Frenchness. This drew further mockery from Noah. The France national team at the 2026 World Cup has 21 African-descended players out of their total squad of 26. This is up from 6 African-descended players in their first World Cup winning squad of 1998 and 12 in the 2018 squad that drew Trevor Noah's mockery. England has 12 African-descended players. The USA has 13, while Germany has 5 in their respective World Cup squads at this year's extravaganza, and this is not to count Netherlands and various others. The real interest of the spat between Noah and France's ambassador from a global Black diaspora studies historical perspective is that the constitution of the entire France team since their first victory in the tournament in 1998 is itself symptomatic of the fundamental shifts in the nature of migrations from Africa to the global north that have taken place from the late 20th century. These contrast with earlier migrations that occurred following the high point of national independence on the continent in the 1960s, and that accelerated in the 1970s following the crisis in oil prices during the Arab-Israeli War. A flood of such migrations from the continent took place from the mid-1980s with the dominance of IMF structural adjustment programs, whose ultimate objective was to shrink the state and to set up conditions for value to be adjudicated by the so-called market. What we now understand as neoliberalism derives from this period of IMF experimentation in Africa and in fact in other global South countries. Thus, from a global Black diaspora studies perspective, The African-descended contributions to these World Cup teams is not at all surprising, given the large-scale migration of Africans that has taken place, as I mentioned a moment ago. One of the salutary effects of the third phase of migration, that is from the 1980s, that many Africans, both on the continent and in the diaspora, would readily identify with, is a rise in popularity of African or African-descended football players that have plied and continue to ply their trade in the major leagues of Europe and elsewhere. Didier Drogba of Chelsea and Ivory Coast, George Weah of Liberia and Monaco and various other teams, and Mohamed Salah of Egypt and Liverpool are just a few of the well-known names that we are still currently in circulation. It is important to recall that after an illustrious career at European clubs such as Monaco, AC Milan, PSG, Chelsea, and Manchester City, and also after becoming the first and only African player to win the Ballon d'Or in 1995, George Weah was voted as the 25th president of his native Liberia in 2018. His son, Timothy Weah, was born to George Weah and his Jamaican wife in 2000, while his father was still a professional football player. Timothy plies his club football in Marseille and is on the United States men's international team and featured in their astonishing and well-deserved victory over Paraguay a few days ago. Recall his provenance: Liberia, itinerant Liberian football player, and he's born to Jamaican mother and Liberian father. Well, some of the African-descended players I mentioned earlier were recruited directly from the leagues in African countries. Others, such as the French captain Kylian Mbappe and the young Lamine Yamal, the Spanish prodigy, found themselves playing for European teams because their parents migrated to Europe with them in the 1990s and early 2000s when they were children or gave birth to them there. Some of these football players also represent the fascinating and growing category of third culture kids, an important new way of understanding the global diaspora, and in which the object is to look at children whose parents come from different countries, but who are brought up in a third country different from that of their parents. Kylian Mbappe's father is from Cameroon, and his mother is from Algeria, and he was brought up in France. While Lamine Yamal's mother is from the Equatorial Guinea, and his father is from Morocco, and he was brought up in Spain. We have already noted Timothy Weah's Liberian and Jamaican parentage, while being brought up in different parts of the world, including the United States. Much less known, but equally very important among the World Cup squads in 2026 is Japan's first choice goalkeeper, Zion Suzuki, who was born in the United States to a Ghanaian father and a Japanese mother, and was raised in the US and Japan before representing Japan on their World Cup team. And we will see him obviously. They actually just playing right now. Of the best performing teams on the international stage at the World Cup, only South Korea and Argentina do not currently have players of African descent in their squads. This is not to count Bosnia, Herzegovina, Uzbekistan. They are not big players. But Japan and Argentina are among the biggest super squads in the World Cup. They're the only ones that don't have African descended players. Even though my comments focus primarily on the men's game, similar observations can also be made about women's football of many dominant countries, even though in their case, the presence of Black players and those of African descent is heavily dwarfed by those of their counterpart men's teams. Now, it is not at all unusual to turn to sports to draw out metaphors for illustrating life's pathways and complexities. And football, what Americans misname as soccer, offers many fine examples. Three features seem key for us here today. First is the sheer passion involved in playing the game well. First is the clear passion involved in playing the game well from the lowest to the very highest stages. In one of the episodes of season 2 of the football series Ted Lasso, the club's misfiring and obviously depressed captain is tricked into going back to draw on the childlike exhilaration of playing the game with non-professionals at a park in front of a housing project in the UK. These non-professionals play for no rewards and with very few facilities. The club captain is cured of his malaise because all the passion for the sport is really the expression of pure childhood joy at achieving things that receive the applause and envy of your friends. The applause and envy of a friend, such as the swift turn of pace, the clever dinking of the ball over the head of an onrushing player or between their legs, and of course, the absolutely indescribable moment of actually scoring a goal. But the joy of playing well is, of course, dependent on years of concentration and endless practice. While talent is clearly important to start with, nothing beats continuing hard work. This applies to all walks of life, not just football or indeed sports. The second lesson to be drawn from football is the dynamism of the team spirit that instilled within players of the sport if you want to be successful. But playing as part of a team does not simply mean playing always to win, or at least not to lose embarrassingly. The key leadership roles within the team turn on those who are able to interpret the roles and functions of other team members and to elicit the best out of them. Thus, in football, when a midfielder is passing the ball to a striker, he does not aim the ball at where the striker happens to be at the moment when the ball is being kicked forward, but where he hopes the striker will be most effective when the ball gets to him. Thus, to be an effective member of the team and even its leader, whether you're the captain or not, because there are many leadership roles that do not involve the captaincy. And thus, to be an effective member of the team and even its leader requires an extraordinary capacity for interpretation. And this is the point I want to make. That teamwork is not doing what everybody is doing, but actually being able to interpret the rules and regulations and being able to elicit the best responses out of the members of the team. So that is teamwork. This is not the moment to get into the arcane details of teammates, but I cannot resist making an observation that I've harbored for a few months now. Supporters of Liverpool will note that Mohamed Salah's game went precipitously from good to terrible when Trent Alexander-Arnold left for Real Madrid. Now, the reason for this, I interpret, is that Trent was the only person who could understand Mo Salah's runs and could ping the ball from any part of the field to and anticipate to arrive at Mo Salah's feet when he would be most lethal. So once Trent left for Real Madrid, there was no one to do that interpretative pinging. that, and Mohamed Salah is still a lethal goal scorer, but he didn't have his teammate interpreting the game and pinging the ball to him. This is my own, attempt at football punditry. Forgive me. Curiously enough, Trent also suffered the same malaise in Real Madrid. So not just Mohamed Salah who was suffering in Liverpool because Trent left. Trent himself, his game went down when he left for Real Madrid. But perhaps the most important lesson from football is to be drawn not from the 10 outfield players, but from the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's role requires a combination of extraordinary agility, interpretation, and most importantly, of patience. Sometimes the goalkeeper may not be called upon to do anything for long stretches of the game. Watching them will almost yawn on their behalf. And yet, in a single flash, the goalkeeper's alertness to danger or opportunity may completely alter the course of the game. This happens so suddenly as to define a constitutive and what I would describe as a revolutionary event, in the sense that the goalkeeper's alertness after long stretches of boredom can completely alter the dynamic of the game, so that the goalkeeper's patience is the source of a certain eventfulness in the soccer game that you don't find anywhere else amongst the outfield players. And sometimes this agility, eventfulness, coupled with patience, is remembered by fans and commentators for years afterwards. We can now harvest a number of insights from our favorite team sports for our guidance and edification as we proceed in the various stages of life: passion and discipline, interpretation as part of teamwork, and the revolutionary role of patience, hard work, and alertness at all times. Everything represents the culmination of these. And it is these that allow us to rise above the periodic disappointments that will no doubt come on our way. And this is a proud moment. I'm talking of this moment right here. It's a proud moment for every graduate and also for their parents and loved ones, for how much support they have given, and also how expensive, because let us not fudge it. It is not cheap to come to an elite institution such as Stanford. But the moment of graduation can also be a moment of great anxiety. If jobs have not already been secured, the questions of jobs and career paths will loom large over the next few years. Where and how can I express my true self as I evolve into an agent of transformation in a world of chaos, cynicism, and, hard as it might be, to the terrors of AI? How am I to grow and bring others along with me? At the heart of these questions, versions of which you will be confronted with at different stages of your life, is the difference between being and becoming. You are not only what you are at different stages of your life, but are the sum total of all that has gone into you and leading into the future. The process of becoming never ceases, it never stops, it is unrelenting. And at each stage, you have to adopt the intellectual pose of the Sankofa bird, our logo here at DAAAS. For the Sankofa bird is reaching into the past while walking toward the future in a perfect symmetry of wisdom and poise. We may also draw from the Sankofa bird the principle of lifelong agility in learning. For in fact, what you will find most useful for your degrees at Stanford is the capacity to assimilate and synchronize large amounts of knowledge at high speed and to make up your mind and convey your thoughts in a language that others will quickly understand. The Sankofa bird is a lifelong learner. This capacity of assimilation and clear articulation is going to be a crucial talent in government, in industry, in the policy world, and in the arts, and in whatever walk of life you find yourself in. But the Sankofa bird also teaches us the abiding value of curiosity. If in the medieval period, the 7 deadly sins of pride, gluttony, lust, and various others were named as the bane of humanity, and that had to be absolutely avoided, it is now ours, in our time, to respond to the medieval world that the most important human capacity is that of curiosity. So long as we remain curious, we will always be able to innovate and recreate life from whatever condition we are presented with. That is the true promise of our humanity. That is what our studies in African and African American studies teach us, because of the many impediments to becoming that we find in the face of the ruthlessness of the world towards us. And that is what we must always remember as we step forward elegantly, with pride, animated by Sankophism into the world before us. Good luck, my graduates. Everything is going to be great for you.
So it's my pleasure to introduce our student speakers for today. We have 2, so I will introduce the first one, let her speak, and then I will come up and introduce the second speaker. Alana Okonkwo is graduating with a Bachelor's of Arts in African and African American Studies with creative honors, and a Bachelor's of Arts in Archaeology, and a notation in cultural rhetorics with distinction. Alana's research lies at the intersection of Black studies and archaeology, where she uses Black feminist theory to guide her research on cultural belongings with limited provenance in museum collections. This research process appears in her upcoming graphic novel titled Witnessing Memory, where she uses Saidiya Hartman's concept of critical fabulation to imagine pasts, presents, and futures of Congolese objects from the objects' perspectives themselves. This book will be published at the end of the summer through the Cantor Museum. Throughout her Stanford education, Alana has sought opportunities to learn about African and African diasporic histories experientially and through museum research. Alana received the Cardinal Quarter Black Diaspora Fellowship in 2024 to intern at the Fowler Museum at UCLA, where she identified over 200 African cultural belongings that had been illicitly trafficked into Euro-American collections. Later in 2025, the Fowler Museum hired her to write creative labels using critical fabulation for 3 objects in their exhibit titled Belongings, Shifting Hands, Changing Meanings. Alana has been involved in many student groups around campus, including Black Stage, Earth Tones, and the Stanford Flint Knapping Society. She's also studied abroad globally in Bosnia, Herzegovina, England, South Africa, and Kenya, and has conducted research in Germany, New Zealand, and Australia. Alana has been recognized for her creative scholarship and public service through awards such as the 2023-24 Russell A. Berman Award, the 2024 DAAS Academic Achievement and Service Award, the 2024-2026 Obama Chetsky Voyager Scholarship for Public Service, the 2026 Black Community Services Center Esteemed Scholar Award, the 2026 James W. Lyons Award, and the Award for Excellence for her honors thesis. This summer, Alana will be working at the Yellowstone Heritage and Research Center at Yellowstone National Park. Please join me in welcoming Alana to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Dieter. Thank you, Dr. Dieter, for that lovely introduction. I shouldn't have written that long, but I'd like to begin by thanking all of my mentors, including Dr. Ayana Fluellen, Dr. Trevor Getz, Dr. Grant Parker, Ben Lundberg, Torres Sanchez, Dr. Katie Dieter, and many, many, many others for teaching me how to mobilize my social justice passions and art practice within my scholarship. Thank you to my friends back at home, here at Stanford, and all across the world for knowing exactly how to alleviate my stress through laughter, long conversations about our fandoms, and cosplay. And the most heartfelt thank you to my family who have instilled in me the values of learning, curiosity, and creativity from a very early age. I'm so thankful for all of your love and support. Deciding to major in African and African American studies was not a difficult decision for me. Growing up in a multicultural household in suburban Southern California, I became interested in learning more about how identity was shaped by culture, traditions, geography, and history, since my Black identity was influenced by my Igbo heritage through money dances, Nigerian gospel music, and chin-chin. And by and by African American pop culture, such as 90s R&B and shows like A Different World and That's So Raven. Uh-huh. In high school, I took classes at my local community college in African American literature and African American history, which introduced me to events like the Harlem Renaissance, books like Toni Morrison's Beloved, and historic figures like Eludia Equiano. Taking college-level classes in Black history opened my eyes to all of the gaps, erasures, and silences of Black history that was existing within my high school education. I knew that when I entered college, I would have to pursue a study in history, especially the histories of marginalized people and people of the Black diaspora. I declared my minor in African and African American studies in winter quarter of my sophomore year, but by that spring, I had changed it to a major because I knew that African and African American studies should be a primary focus of my education. DAAAS taught me to be critical of what is preserved as history and how stories are told. I learned how some Black studies scholars, like Toni Morrison and Saidiya Hartman, conjure their embodied memories to learn about Black history beyond what is preserved in the archive. When engaging with African and African diasporic history, I was encouraged to be an active participant in knowledge restoration rather than absorbing information as fact. DAAAS constantly reminded me that my voice is an important contribution to ongoing arguments on issues that I care about, like heritage restitution and decolonization. I was always encouraged to do primary research, so I embarked on research projects to identify looted African cultural belongings in museum collections, to preserve DAAAS's departmental history through archiving, and to combine my creative writing and artistry to create a graphic novel about Congolese heritage. I would not be the scholar that I am today without the Department of African and African American Studies at Stanford. So thank you, DAAAS, so much for guiding me toward my academic North Star.
Thank you so much, Alana. Okay, and our next student speaker is Billy Meneses, who is a graduating senior, or graduated senior, I should say, majoring in African and African American Studies and public policy with a concentration in discrimination, crime, and poverty policy. He is originally from Union City, New Jersey, but currently lives in northeastern Pennsylvania. At Stanford, he worked as a student intern in the Martin Luther King Jr. Research and Education Institute and as a peer advisor in the Department of African and African American Studies. He is passionate about studying the civil rights movement, histories of enslavement, and Afro-Latinx identity. After graduation, Billy plans to attend grad school to further his research in Black studies and/or law school to pursue a career in civil rights law. Please join me in welcoming Billy to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for being here to celebrate the class of 2026 and to celebrate the long legacy of Black Studies here at Stanford University. It is a legacy that, when I first stepped foot on campus, I had no idea I would become a part of. In September 2022, I flew 2,000 miles away from home to arrive at Stanford, my home for the next 4 years. Like many of my other peers, Stanford felt like the culmination and the reward of years of hard work. But I wouldn't be here without the support of my family, especially my parents. I'm the proud son of Colombian immigrants who inspired the work I hope to do in the future and who motivated this challenging journey I undertook. My father came to America as a young boy in the late 60s. As one of 14 siblings, he quickly assumed his independence and he began a career as a truck driver, a career he still practices today. In third grade, I remember going to his job on Take Your Child to Work Day, where he popped open the hood of his truck and explained to me the various parts of a truck engine. Although I quickly learned that trucks would not be my area of expertise, my father taught me the importance of hard work and also the value of becoming the best at whatever you do. He knows a lot more than just about trucks, also. My mother also grew up in Colombia, and at an early age, she always knew that she wanted to go to college. Her father, my grandfather, refused to pay for my mother's education, believing that the proper role for a woman was to be in the household. My mother quickly realized that she wouldn't let this stop her dreams of going to college, so she boarded a one-way flight to America and started a new life thousands of miles away from home. She worked various service jobs to support herself and continued sending money back home to support her family. When I was little, my mom took classes at the local community college to continue her education, but the responsibilities of having to work and having to raise a child forced her to set her education aside in the meantime. She poured all of her love, encouragement, and passion for education into me, her firstborn son. She made it clear that receiving my education was a privilege that I was not to waste, and that it would be the way I could achieve success and the way that I could fulfill a dream that she had not yet realized. So this degree is not just a representation of my hard work, but of the support of my community, the labor of my father, and the dreams of my mother. To my sisters, Alanis and Alaya, I want you to know that you should shoot for the stars, and with hard work, dedication, and the support of your family and your community, all of your dreams will come true. And finally, I could not imagine a better end to my graduation day than at this ceremony, here at the newly minted Department of African and African American Studies. Throughout this journey, DAAAS became more than just a place of learning. It became a home away from home, and it has shaped how I think, how I move throughout the world, how I understand my own identity, and how I engage with the communities I come from. It is also impossible to ignore the recent attacks, or maybe not so recent attacks, on Black studies and DEI programs that have aimed to increase representation and level the playing field for Black and other marginalized communities. Evidently, race continues to play a prominent role in our society, in how it structures our lived experiences, how we are treated when we go out into the world, and the opportunities and resources to which we have access. In recent years, Black and Latino enrollment has fallen at Stanford University and at countless other schools following the Supreme Court's ban of race-conscious admissions. While we must continue to strive for diversity at this academic institution, I'm heartened by DAAAS's new home, a physical representation of how we can stake our claim to this institution and proudly declare that Black students and Black studies deserve to be at Stanford University. I'm proud to be a student of Black studies. And as I continue to carve out my future, I will remain committed to cultivating a more just society where our perspectives are centered and our political and economic rights are preserved. Although my time at Stanford is ending, I know that future students will carry on the mantle of Black studies here and beyond this institution. DAAAS has inspired me to remain rooted in community in everything that I do, and I could not think of a better way to study my passions and to receive the education that my family fought so hard for me to pursue. Thank you so much, and cheers to the class of 2026.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ashante. I'm the Student Services Officer for the Department of African and African American Studies. and I'm going to be presenting the diplomas to our graduating class. I will be announcing all of the names of all of our seniors, regardless of if they're present or not, but everybody's here. For students that are present, when I announce your name, please come to the podium to collect your diploma and take your photos with Dr. Dieter before returning to your seat. And the photos will be made available to students after commencement. So I will now be beginning with our majors, Billy Meneses. Alana Okonkwo. I also just want to know that Alana is graduating with distinction, which means that she's graduating in the top 15% of her graduating class. And now for our minors, Natalia Layden. Nicholas Newman. And Kayla Withers. Please join me in giving our graduates a final round of applause.
Good evening and congratulations to the 2026 class. My name is Ariella. I'm Natalia Layden's proud big sister. Watching you reach this moment has been emotional, inspiring, and honestly beautiful to witness. I have always known you were capable of incredible things, but seeing your growth, determination, and resilience throughout this journey has made me even more proud of the woman you have become. At a young age, you began educating yourself about politics, prison reform, and the flaws within the legal and justice system. You developed a strong sense of purpose early on and made the decision to become a lawyer so you can advocate for change and for people whose voices were often overlooked. During high school, you joined mock trial and quickly became the backbone of the club. You secured back to back internships with the Atlanta Bar Association, where your passion and work ethic stood out immediately. While working at an attorney's office, you even contributed to a case that helped reduce the sentence of a man facing life in prison. What amazes me most is that all of these accomplishments came during one of the hardest periods of your life. While completing the Questbridge process, writing nearly 40 essays, our stepfather was in hospice at home and passed away during that time. Despite the emotional weight and stress you were carrying, you continued pushing forward. You maintained over a 4.0 GPA and graduated as salutatorian. Then came the moment your acceptance into one of the most prestigious universities in the world. I watched you choose your future over your circumstances again and again, never allowing hardship to define or limit you. Now, as you graduate from Stanford, I am overwhelmed with pride and joy. You are one of the most intelligent, resilient, and determined person I know. You're truly destined for greatness, and I know you're going to give law school a run for their money. Natalia, I love you, and I couldn't be more proud to stand here and call you my sister.
Hello, everyone. I brought this letter in Spanish for my son, and his little sister will do English translation. I try not cry, but happy tears. Ok. Cuando me dijeron que debía escribir una carta para Billy, se me hizo muy difícil comenzarla porque yo sabía que estos 3 minutos no eran suficientes para decirle a mi hijo todo lo que siente mi corazón. Primero, quiero darle las gracias a Dios por la salud y vida de mi hijo Billy y porque sin su ayuda este logro no hubiera sido posible. Quisiera que conozcan a la persona más noble del mundo, responsable, perfeccionista, mejor amigo, mejor hermano, mejor hijo y con la sonrisa más bella. ¿Saben quién es? Es mi primer hijo y el primer amor de mi vida. Su nombre es Billy y esta carta es para ti. Hace 22 años recibí el mejor regalo de mi vida. Tú, mi mayor bendición, mi más grande y verdadero amor. Dios me bendijo contigo al escogerme como tu madre. Desde que naciste, mi vida cambió. Y fue una aventura que pensamos a vivir los dos día por día. Aunque no fue fácil, yo sola en un país que no era el mío, madre soltera, sin familia y con un bebé que necesitaba un tratamiento médico y que me necesitaba de tiempo completo. Pasamos tiempos muy difíciles, pero yo sabía en el fondo de mi corazón que luchar por ti era mi mayor recompensa. Empezaste a crecer y yo veía los logros en ti. Empezaste la escuela y siempre eras estudiante del mes y tus logros empezaban a acumularse en mi mente y mi corazón. Seguiste creciendo y siempre veía en ti el mejor ejemplo y lo comprobé una vez más cuando nacieron tus hermanitas y fuiste y eres el mejor hermano que ellas pudieron tener. A los 13 años te fuiste a un boarding school. Yo como madre quería tenerte a mi lado, pero sabía que no podría cortarte las alas. Sentí un vacío muy grande y tus hermanitas y yo te extrañábamos muchísimo. Empezó a pasar el tiempo y sabíamos que solo venías a casa por temporadas y te disfrutábamos lo más que podíamos. Yo sabía que este tiempo nos estaba preparando para tomar el siguiente paso, que era ingresar al college, y así fue. Pasaste a varias universidades, pero tomaste la mejor decisión, Stanford. Qué orgullo para mí y para nosotros, tu familia. Llegar hasta acá no ha sido fácil. Te he visto llorar. Te he escuchado cuando me has pedido que te escuche. Te he dado consejos cuando lo has necesitado. Y aunque algunas veces no me has dicho, ¿qué te pasa? Soy tu mamá y he sentido ese sexto sentido que tenemos las madres, donde a pesar de la distancia nos damos cuenta de lo que sienten nuestros hijos. Y siempre he dicho que todo tu esfuerzo será recompensado. Hoy te estás graduando de college y me siento muy orgullosa del ser tan maravilloso en el que te has convertido. Y los logros tuyos también son los míos. Tú y tu amiga Lana, I'm so proud of you and Alana, han escogido este mayor, aunque solo son ustedes dos, estoy completamente segura que tomaron la mejor decisión en sus vidas y que este mayor les abrirá las puertas a nuevas oportunidades que la vida le brindará. Billy, salir de Stanford no es el final, es el comienzo de nuevas oportunidades que te harán madurar más de lo que hasta ahora eres. Te llevan muy buenos conocimientos de Stanford y muchas experiencias vividas. Y lo mejor de todo, hiciste muy buenas amistades que aunque todos tendrán diferentes rumbos, esos grandes lazos quedarán guardados en tu corazón. No me cansaré de decirte que eres mi mayor orgullo y que estás alcanzando las metas que algún día yo quise alcanzarlas y no pude. Recuerda siempre que me has enseñado mucho y has cambiado mi vida de diferentes maneras y mientras yo tenga vida, acá estará tu mami para apoyarte en tus decisiones. Y mi propósito es que seas feliz. Te amo con todo mi corazón. I love you so much.
Dear son, when they told me I had to write a letter for Billy, it was very difficult for me because I knew these 3 minutes would not be enough to tell my son everything my heart feels. First, I want to thank God for the health and life of my son Billy because without his help, this achievement would not be possible. I want you all to know the noblest person in the world, responsible, perfectionist, best friend, best bro- brother, best son, and with the most beautiful smile. Do you know who he is? It's my first son and the first love of my life. His name is Billy, and this letter is for you. 22 years ago, I received the greatest gift of my life. You, my greatest blessing, my true love. God bless me with you when He chose me to be your mother from the moment you were born. My life changed and it became an adventure that that we began living together day by day. I won't deny that it was easy. I was alone in a country that wasn't mine, a single mother without a family with a baby who needed medical treatment and needed me full time. We went through very difficult times, but deep in my heart, I knew that fighting for you was my greatest reward. You began to grow, and I saw you achievement after achievement in you. You started school, and you were always the student of the month, and your accomplishments kept building up in my mind and heart. You keep growing, and I always saw the best examples in you, and I confronted it once again when your little sisters were born. You were still the best brother they could ever have. At 13 years old, you left for boarding school. As your mother, I wanted to keep you by my side, but I knew I couldn't clip your wings. I felt such a huge emptiness in your sisters, and I missed you so much. Time began to pass, and we knew you only came home during breaks. So we enjoy every moment with you as much as we can. I knew this time was preparing us to take the next step, college, and that's exactly what happened. You were accepted into several universities, but you made the best decision at Stanford University. What pride for me and all of us, your family. Getting here has not been easy. I've seen you cry, listen when you needed me to hear. I given you advice when you needed it, and even when you didn't tell me what was wrong. I'm your mom, and I felt that 60 cents mothers have when, despite the distance, we know what our children are feeling, and I have always told you, and all your effort would be rewarded. Today, you're graduating from college, and I feel so proud of wonderful person you have become, and achievements are also mine. You and your friend Alana choose this major, and even though there was only two of you, I'm completely sure you made the best decisions of your life, and that this major will open doors to new opportunities that life will bring you. Billy, leaving Stanford is not the end. It's the beginning of new opportunities that will help you even more than you already have. You are talking with, wait, you are taking with, wait, you are taking with you so much available knowledge from Stanford and many life experience, and best of all, you made a wonderful friendship that even though everyone will follow different path, strong will remain forever in your heart. I will never get tired of telling you that you are my greatest pride, and that you are achieving the dreams that one day I wish I accomplished, but I couldn't. Always remember that you have taught me so much and changed my life in many ways. As long I am as long as I am alive, your mother will always be here to support you in decisions. My propose is for you to be happy. I love you with all of my heart, and God may continue blessing your path. I love you.
Okay, well, so much for not crying because that was so beautiful. My name's Irene Malik, and I'm Nicholas's mom. Nico, Nagnook, Nikolaiki. Thanks for picking me to write your letter. I know you would have rather had my brother Mark write this for you, but pancreatic cancer had different plans. I'm not as wise or intellectual. Sorry, I got this. Or intellectual or eloquent or selfless as Mark, but I will try to express how proud of you we are. You're a happy, funny, kind, generous, and brilliant genius of a son, and I love you truly and deeply so much more than I can express. If Mark was here, he would tell you the same thing. He would say to always remember to be humble and that God gave you all the gifts you have. You've worked so hard and done so well, and always with a beautiful smile that makes everyone around you also joyful. The fact that you did so well and strived for excellence, even when you lost both of my parents and my brother in less than a year, speaks volumes about you and your character. You never gave up or used any of the hardships as an excuse. You knew that they wanted you to succeed and always do your best, so you did it for them. You have a beautiful heart. I know that because you're my boy and will forever be my boy. Always remember to smile and live life to its fullest and take care of others. Be thankful for everything you have. Remember to use your gifts wisely and to help your family, friends, and anyone who you can help. Remember, your family loves and supports you always. And like Giddu and Teta used to say, family is the most important thing in life because without your family, you're nothing. As you race towards your bright future as a physician and to greatness, remember to look behind you. Your family's there holding you up. And since this is the DAAAS graduation, I can say in Arabic, Habibi, go out and make the world a better place. Mabruk. Never forget that your parents and grandparents were all born on the gorgeous and rich continent of Africa. So help the people there and here with the medical skills and knowledge you have, because Africa is the mother of all of us, and where all life on this planet began. You've made your grandparents and uncle in heaven beyond proud. You've made your parents and siblings and your aunt and your cousins proud. You've made all of our huge, wonderful family, especially my cousin Mike and Heidi, who traveled a long way to be here, proud. Continue to be a role model for your 3 cousins, as Mark was for all of us. Make sure the 7 always love and respect and honor Mark throughout your lives and love one another as Christ loves us. You're my gift from God. I've always loved you more than you'll ever know, and have always been so proud of you for everything, but especially your concern and kindness towards others. Love and adoration forever. Your mama.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Audrey Okonkwo. I'm Alana's mom. And although I'm the only one standing here, I represent our whole family who is there supporting you and back home supporting you. Dear Alana, you are so incredibly loved. From the moment you came into this world, we knew you were special. We knew you would find your place in this world and make it better. And for the last 4 years, that place has been Stanford. As a freshman, you took several exploratory courses trying to find your niche. Every class in comparative studies in race and ethnicity, FemGen, human rights, history, and even geology led you to finding your home in the majors of archaeology and African American studies. Living away from home and your kiddies was hard at first. You grappled with fitting in and identity while trying to balance a rigorous schedule and your mental health. And even so, you found ways to serve. You contributed to research alongside your professors. You were a student peer advisor, student archivist, and Cantor Scholar. I honestly don't know how you managed all the extracurriculars you were involved in while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. Your creative honors thesis, Witnessing Memory, is a testament to all your hard work and dedication. You have used your gifts of curiosity, storytelling, creativity, and compassion to give voice to histories and communities that deserve to be remembered and respected. Bell Hooks once wrote, "The function of art is to do more than tell it like it is. It is to imagine what is possible." Your graphic novel and your work in critical fabulation embody that vision so beautifully. You do more than uncover the past. You imagine fuller, richer futures where silenced voices are restored and honored. From Stanford to Bosnia, from South Africa to Oxford, New Zealand, Germany, Australia, and Kenya, you have carried your passion into the world with humility and courage. Your desire to confront the deeply entrenched legacies of colonialism will disrupt and challenge some systems and beliefs, as it should. Stanford has prepared you for this, and you will go forward with all the support from all your mentors, friends, and family. We will be cheering you on and celebrating all that you do. Congratulations, Alana. We are endlessly proud of you, and we cannot wait to see all the ways you will continue to change the world. Love you, Lala.
Hi, everyone. I'm Solomon. I've known Kayla since our freshman year of college, and that was the height of the pandemic, so we really bonded a lot through that amazing year. And dear Kayla, you are so loved by God and the Lantana community, and so many people are here for you. As I was thinking about this letter, I felt that there were three words that really describe how amazing you are: friendship, faith, and dreams. First, with friendship, I'm so glad we met in Lantana. I still remember when you, me, and Karthik went on a Target run, and we were just playing music in the car, and we were playing basketball, even though some of the basketball courts were shut down. But it was such a special time, and I'm so grateful that you're part of my life. And thank you so much for also being my sister's RA at GovCo, and also taking photos, grad photos of my sister. Just so proud of you, and I know we've had a lot of great adventures, like going to Best Buy for your camera or moving out of GovCo at like 1 a.m. in the morning. And so it's been really, really a blessing, and I'm so glad that we're going to be able to go to Soul Food again on Wednesday one last time. We had a great Kayla birthday celebration two summers ago. So yeah, and then the second word I think of when I think of Kayla is faith. So I grew up in the church community, but when I came to college, I stepped away from my faith. And my junior year was more of a difficult time for me. But I remember Kayla texting me saying, "Hey, Solomon, I'm getting baptized today. And would you like to come support?" And I said, "Of course." So I go to church with Kayla, and then she said, "Hey, Solomon, do you also want to get baptized today?" And I was like, wow, I had still a lot of questions about my faith at that point, but took the leap. And since then, it's been such an important part of my life. And I think that's just testament to Kayla and how she brings people along. And I remember when you went to Israel, and how faith has been such a big part of who you are and the different communities that you've been a part of on campus and that domain. So just really grateful. And I think the last word that I really think encapsulates and highlights who Kayla is as a person is dreams. So when I first met Kayla in Lantana, I'll never forget, we were going on a walk, and she was telling me about the Hidden Figures movie. And so Kayla just also finished her degree in aerospace engineering, and sh she, she's built a rocket. And I remember she was telling me that the Hidden Figures movie really inspired her. And I have no doubt that Kayla will be the first human being to go to Mars. And we we have her early see at her greatness. And I one time a couple summers ago, we had an EVGR social gathering, and we all went around and just shared a bit about who we are. And Kayla mentioned that she is from North Carolina, and how she wanted to really make a big impact in the world, and help her community back there. And it's just a testament to her strength and her character and her drive to really dream big and support other people along that journey. So just so proud of you, Kayla. It's been an awesome ride, and we're also excited for you and your next chapter. Sincerely, Solomon.
Okay. Please join me in giving our graduates one final round of applause. So now we'll finally have our closing remarks by Professor Joel Cabrita.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joelle Cabrita. It's my great honor to be a member of this department. I think we've heard from these 5 extraordinary individuals and their families that probably the greatest thanks today goes not to faculty and instructors, but to the families and to the friends who have paved every step of the way that has led to these people, these extraordinary people graduating today. So can we give a big round of applause? And while families and friends will come first, I hope the faculty and instructors of our amazing department could also get a round of applause. Our graduates have been taught with care, with thoughtfulness, with dedication, with passion, and with conviction. We pride ourselves on offering an extraordinary education, and people in this room today have made their degrees what they are today. So thank you for your work and for your efforts. We are about to wrap up, but a final thank you. An event like today doesn't get done without a lot of planning and preparation. So I want to name and thank our extraordinary DAAS team, led by Sandra Chiappi, Katie Dieter, Ashante Johnson, Cindy Moe. You keep the fabric and the heartbeat of DAAS going, so we are very grateful to you for everything you do. And thank you for the amazing drumming troupe. You have added magic to the occasion. And last but not least, I believe that Mama J's Nigerian Delight Catering Company has prepared a feast for us in the adjoining room. So without further ado, Sandra, one more thing.
One more thing, we're going to have our libation ceremony before we have the feast. Father Samuel is here, and we're going to do the 5-minute prayers and libation.
Okay, so please keep your seats for 5 more minutes. I think Father Nkansa is going to come lead us in prayer. Thank you.
My dear friends, the moment you got admission to Stanford, you became born again. A chapter of renewal began. With the help of DAAS, you've been initiated into the universal brotherhood and sisterhood of wise people. Through your academic formation, you have been consecrated to be the apple of the universe. By what we have witnessed here today, you've been empowered to go forth and bear fruit. So my duty is very simple, to send you forth to the universe. The end product of academic formation is humility, filled and driven by compassion. Keep it in mind. But the little advice I can give you is work. The work out there is quite heavy. If you don't take care of yourself, you will work and work and work. You can't finish the work, but the work will finish you. Keep that in mind. On that note, I will say, Onyame sasre kwama nesewo. Krochi amansa within a honamse. Wakwa betim na so important tim hodaba. Na no nyamon pempem atwa ho ahia. Edon Ibrahim ye pija wonananom. Billy, Alina, Natalia, Nicholas, and Kayla, into your hands. Emra Omoba Sasiswe, no well, brother, wedding case, yes, and a pebia mawomo to Jensen. Did you want no more see ye? Mawomuni ye, or Monkwan in your name. Danny Dan, you know, Momo press, you had your bar, and yet you have a concron and Moma for. She shall almost make my aim. Omodache, Omusus Yenina, Joanna, I see the Motata, Sikako also. Stanford and Samanfo. And so Kunkura Macha as I see him one share. Yama Monsano near Strama said, Munina Monana much Jirapa. Ma 1 year sika. Ma 1 year. Ma on some yen shra. No mayor strong body and name no Stanford the DAAAS ya. Or who is a Wunkuto and what says he also mayor body munya support. Come on. This shower won't come in. Obi biara won pe wonana no yiye no de adwempo a emfata besa won yiye die ya sama no anopa ya sama na wia ya sama wona no nwumre ma won konkomo ema won so no di yi a wakai wode won semhira aboa adafama na montra na no enye motata enkosedwo monko na nyina.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm sure you want to understand what he said. I will try and summarize everything for you. So it was a prayer committing all the students into the hands of God and also to their ancestors to protect them, to prosper them, make them wealthy, and that every part of their journey is going to be smooth and is going to bring fruit because they are the apple of the universe. So in summary, that is what he committed all these students. Thank you.
When I say I go, you say amen. I go. Amen. Yeah, it's about time we give you a short musical interlude. We're going to play a piece called Agbaja. We do Kika, right? We're doing Kika from the Elba people of Ghana. So sit and enjoy Kika. You guys, you're going to feel the vibration of the drum, but don't worry. It's part of the ceremony, all right? Okay. All of you, go!